In the headlines, curfew imposed as gunmen kill 17 in fresh Kaduna village attack. Police rescue 14 kidnapped victims after spending 68 days in captivity. Serap tackles federal government over threat to shut down broadcast stations. And on the foreign scene, watchdog clears South Africa's Ramaphosa in cover-up scandal. Hello and welcome to Trans TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. Now, following an attack that left 10 people and a police officer dead, the Kaduna State government has imposed a 24-hour curfew in 4 communities in Zangon Kataf local government area. Special Assistant to the Executive Chairman, Zangon Kataf Local Government Council, Yabo Chris Ephraim, in a statement said the curfew was to allow soldiers to restore peace to the area. Recall that a police officer and 10 others lost their lives on Saturday night following an attack by suspected terrorists. This comes barely 72 hours after a pastor's son was shot dead, while 4 others were abducted in the Karimbu Kahugu community in Lere local government area of the state. Now, earlier we spoke to Trans TV's Bello Musa, who gives us an update on the situation.
The gunmen stormed the communities on Saturday evening, shooting sporadically in the air and burning houses at Ngong Wakili in Zangon Kataf local government area in the southern part of Kaduna State. After the attack, about 10 corpses have been discovered by the locals in the area. The Zangon Kataf local government authority in a statement earlier imposed the 24-hour curfew at Ungwar Wakili, Ungwar Juju, Ungwar Mabuhu, and also Zango urban area. There is tension in the affected communities, and people in those communities are mourning because of the loss of their loved ones, and also they are living in fear presently. The mass burial of the victims is presently ongoing in the areas. Also, in the statement issued by the Special Assistant to Chairman of Zangon Kataf local government area, Mr. Yabo Chris, said the curfew imposed in the area is to allow military and other security agencies in the area to restore peace and in the area. Also, when contacted, the Police Public Relations Officer of Kaduna State Command and DSP Mohammed Jalinge in a WhatsApp chat confirmed the attack, saying that the briefing he received from the area commander in the southern Kaduna, Azix, the trouble started a few days ago when a boy rearing a cattle was murdered in the area. He said the police was investigating the occurrence before trouble broke out in the area. That is from yesterday to today. He said the police is on top of the situation. He also said if not for the intervention of the joint security personnel in the area, the attackers or the hoodlums will have done more damage in the areas.
Meanwhile, the death toll from last night's attack on Ngongwekili community in Zangon Kataf local government area of Kaduna State has risen to 17. Reports say 14 corpses were recovered on Sunday morning, aside from the 1 person killed on Saturday and the 2 people that died in the hospital. Speaking to newsmen, the council chairman of Zangon Kataf local government, Francis Sani Zimbo, condemned the barbaric attack, assuring that investigations are on to unravel the perpetrators and bring them to book. He expressed regret on why all the mobile police checkpoints within the affected communities were withdrawn before last night's attack. Meanwhile, the locals, while expressing their displeasure in protests, wondered how an attack would last about 40 minutes without a single attacker killed by the security operatives, even with the presence of a forward operating base within the community. Meanwhile, fear has gripped residents of Kubwa, a suburb of Abuja, after gunmen attacked Chikakori Estate where they abducted about 10 people on Friday. Gabriel Lawal speaks to residents on their harrowing experiences.
An eyewitness said the kidnappers came in through the back of the estate, shooting sporadically. He said the abducted residents, including the pastor, are still in captivity.
At about midnight, the wife just came knocking on our gate. Why she's the one? Initially, I was hesitating. I said maybe it's the armed robbers that brought her. But I said even if it's armed robbers, I have to risk myself. I took that risk and went out, opened the door, the gate. Then she came in and said, they've taken everybody. I said, but I thought it's even an armed robbery issue. He said, no, that they abducted everybody in the house, even the opposite, their own, they were all going. There's this place, the place they broke through the railway fence and our fence. That's where they took them through a ditch and they marched them into the bush.
The eyewitness further explained that the gunmen broke the gates to force their way inside the estate, adding that they threw their victims into a ditch before taking them into the bush.
Then after a while, I now decided to post it on our platform as the residents. Then they started making comments, let's call police, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Someone said they has called the police station, the Kuba police, that the police will soon be here. Then after a while, I decided, they called me again that they were at his gate, trying to break into the house. I posted it again because at that point I stopped calling him, that will not attract their attention. Then as we were waiting for the police, I kept on updating them what was happening. After a point, I decided to call, and his number was not going on. It was not going again.
The government is not doing their work, and they know all those people. Now, if somebody knows cannot small money for somebody, now they say, hey, this one is a thief. But you know where all of them there. Can you believe that? Okay, the people who have flights that are moving. So are you trying to tell me that now that they fly these flights now? They are not seeing what is happening in the whole world, especially Nigerian flights. My brother, it's not good. Let Nigeria work, and let the new government. I believe that there's some new government that's coming now, and God will do it.
He said security operatives came blaring siren after the gunmen left the scene. Other residents that spoke to Trust TV News called on the government to do the needful to secure their release and end frequent cases of abduction. Gabriel Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still talking security, the Zamfara State Police Command has dislodged a bandits camp and rescued 14 kidnapped victims who had spent 68 days in captivity. This is contained in a statement issued in Gusau on Saturday by the Police Public Relations Officer in the state, SP Muhammad Shehu. According to him, police tactical operatives in conjunction with the vigilante group, while on a mop-up operation near Munghae Forest, successfully dislodged some bandit camps belonging to a bandit kingpin, popularly known as Dogosuli. The victims informed the police detectives that on the 1st of January 2023 at about 11 p.m., a large number of suspected bandits armed with sophisticated weapons stormed Ungwar Mangoro and Gidam Maidawa villages in Gusau local government area and abducted the victims to their camp, where they spent 68 days in captivity. He said the State Commissioner of Police, Kolo Yusuf, has congratulated the victims for regaining their freedom and reassured of the command's continuous commitment to protect lives and property of the citizens. And to Delta State now, where the State Police Command has confirmed the assault on a police officer by officers of the Nigerian Navy in a trending video on social media. In the 1-minute 30-second clip, an assaulted officer was seen moving about restlessly inside the premises of the police station, with angry colleagues appealing to him to stay calm. The incident happened at NRM police station near Warri. The unidentified police officer's face was bloodied and his police uniform was partially torn. Efforts to get the reaction of the military authorities in the state proved abortive, as no official was willing to comment on the issue. But the Delta State Police Public Relations Officer, Bright Edafe, confirmed the incident in a telephone conversation. According to the police spokesperson, the incident occurred at the NRM police station in the Warri area. He also assured that the matter is being handled by the top officials of the police command and the Nigerian Navy. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, is not happy with the federal government's threat to shut down broadcast stations. Last week, the government, through the National Broadcasting Commission, said it will shut down broadcast stations found culpable of using their platforms to undermine the peaceful coexistence of Nigeria. Following a meeting between the NBC's Director General, Balarabe Ilela, and broadcast stations on the coverage of the February 25th presidential and National Assembly elections, the Commission said it will not hesitate to revoke the license of broadcasters threatening the peace of the country. But in a statement on Sunday, SERAP urged President Muhammadu Buhari to instruct the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to urgently withdraw the last warning and threat to revoke the licenses of broadcast stations and shut them down over their coverage of the elections and post-election matters. So thus on Trust TV News Update, still ahead. We take a look at the protection of public infrastructure. Who's responsible for it? Details of this and more after the break. Just stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take a look at our top stories. Curfew imposed as gunmen kill 17 in fresh Kaduna village attack. And police rescue 14 kidnapped victims after spending 68 days in captivity. Moving on to other news now. The Bayelsa State government on Saturday called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court and ease the hardship of citizens caused by the new Naira policy. The government also appealed for calm amidst the challenges faced by Nigerians following the Naira redesign and cashless policy introduced by the CBN. The government made the call in a statement issued by the State Commissioner for Information, Orientation and Strategy, Chief Ayibaina Duba, following protests by the residents of the state over the policy. It appreciated the pains of the residents caused by the implementation of the Naira redesign policy and the Supreme Court ruling on the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira currency notes. It urged the CBN to clarify the validity of the old Naira notes being reissued by banks after the Supreme Court judgment. Now, it is the responsibility of government to provide infrastructure to make life meaningful for its citizens. It is equally the citizens' responsibility to protect the infrastructure to provide for their welfare. However, people often vent their anger by destroying public infrastructure. Kabir Lawal speaks to Abuja residents on whose responsibility it is to protect public facilities.
Provision of public infrastructure is the sole responsibility of government. But citizens vandalize public facility like electrical installations, rail track, or manhole for selfish reasons. A cross-section of people that spoke to Trust TV News said the destruction of public property can be attributed to ignorance, hunger, poverty, and frustration.
My advice is to the young people, please, no matter what, we shouldn't resort to violence. Let's not destroy public properties, be it government or private. Please, there are better ways to channel our grievances. So it is better with dialogue than destruction, because it will still cost us to recover from those destructions.
Government does not respect the rule of law, and we don't think you don't expect any common youth out there to come and respect your own rule, that you don't respect the rule of law. Me, on my own, I always talk about I look at the positive ends of things a lot. You understand me? But government of today does not know if the youth are existing or not. You understand? Imagine if you can call the president of Nigeria to come to court and he said nothing like court. The Supreme Court will give judgment based on our naira to be legal, and the government will say nothing. So we don't respect rule of law, so we don't expect anybody to respect the government.
Some said the youth should channel grievances through the appropriate authority and not to resort to destruction or looting of public property.
Do the right thing. No job. All our foreign jobs are recruiting to Ghana. Everything, mobile, Toyota, oh Ghana. So what are we doing?
This is not far from the reality of the changing climate and the heat wave. All of this make people to behave differently. Let's stay calm and trust something better will happen in the nearest future.
Respondents implore the youths to be vanguard of public assets, calling on government to provide job opportunities for them to be more productive. Kabir Lowell, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A rehabilitated ex-Boko Haram fighter, Alayi Madu, and the traditional ruler of Kajola, a border community between Ondo and Edo states, Bale Akinola Adebayo, are among 37 persons arrested over 2.2 tons of illicit drugs seized by the operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, and in raids across 12 states in the past week. A statement by the Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA Headquarters, Abuja, Femi Babafemi, said as part of ongoing operations to mop up illicit drugs across the country ahead of the next round of elections, NDLEA officers stormed the Kajola forest, where they destroyed 3 cannabis farms measuring over 39.8 hectares. The owner of the farms, who claims to be the Bale of Kajola, Akinola Adebayo, was arrested, while 2 other suspects believed to be his workers, Arikuyeri Abdurrahman and 25-year-old Habibu Ologun, were also nabbed in a hut near the farms. In the same vein, a 26-year-old ex-Boko Haram fighter, Alayi Madu, who worked for the group 15 years before he surrendered to the Nigerian military in 2021, was intercepted by NDLEA operatives on Thursday, the 9th of March, along Abuja-Kaduna Expressway with 10 kilograms of skunk, which he said he bought in Ibadan, Oyo State, and was taking the consignment concealed in a sack to Maiduguri, Borno State. The statement said Madu, a native of Banki town in Borno State, and joined the notorious terrorist organization in 2006 when he was just 9 years old. Madu said he repented and surrendered to the military in 2021, after which he underwent rehabilitation and de-radicalization process at Umaru Shehu Rehabilitation Center, Maiduguri, and Malam Sidi De-radicalization Center, Gombe, before he was discharged after spending 6 months. Thereafter, he traveled to Ibadan, Oyo State, where he worked as a commercial motorcycle rider before going into drug trafficking and his eventual arrest along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. Now for a look at the foreign scene, where South Africa's anti-corruption watchdog has cleared President Cyril Ramaphosa of any wrongdoing in a preliminary report into a cover-up scandal that has tarnished his reputation, according to local media reports. The public prosecutor said it has notified implicated parties of the preliminary findings of the probe over the theft of large amounts of cash from Ramaphosa's luxury Fala Fala farm, something the president is accused of having attempted to conceal. Ramaphosa spokesman Vincent Magwenya said the president received the report, details of which have been leaked to local media. The scandal, which erupted in June, involved about $500,000 in cash that Ramaphosa acknowledged was stolen from beneath sofa cushions at his ranch. And for a quick look at sports now, Britain's Lee Wood has said he wants to invoke a rematch clause against Mauricio Lara for a fight this summer. Wood was stopped by Lara last month, which saw the Mexican crowned WBA heavy featherweight champion at Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham. Wood and Lara have been linked with a possible fight against former two-time world IBF featherweight champion Josh Warrington. Lara has faced Warrington twice, viciously stopping him in 2021 before a second fight was brought to a halt because of a cut to the Mexican's head. Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn represents Wood and Warrington and could pursue a third fight between Warrington and Lara. And now, before we go, here is a kicker. Now, these refugees are healing their wounds and the planet by planting trees in the Tongogara refugee camp in Zimbabwe. They also have long-term plans to establish a public park. Let's take a look.
I have been here for so long, since 2000 now, and here is now like my home. And why can't I just start thinking to see how we have to make it a better place to live? And that is why I come with the idea, because even when I was young, since I was young, I was just thinking how I have to do good things for the society. We plant the tree while the tree is growing up. What we do also, we make sure that also we put our vegetable beans because we also have the objective of fighting against poverty. My parents was died when I was 13. I have the opportunity of healing my wound. And when I have the opportunity of healing my wound, that is what I choose also to heal the planet.
I'm working because if I try to make this place green and the trees grow, it might help the next generation. Yeah, they might be in a place where there's no more temperature, high temperatures.
When we are talking about climate change, in Tongogara you can feel it live. Because other places you may find there is a cooler trees, whatever, but here in Tongogara you can feel it. And sometimes it's also difficult for us to breathe because it's too hot. Even in our absence in Tongogara, this will show that we were there. This is our presence. So planting a tree is like planting a spirit.
Indeed, doing their bit in the fight against climate change. Well, with that, we wrap up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, for more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and, of course, follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.